First week almost in the books. We've given you guys everything you need to know so far about the upcoming season with some of these preseason matches. Tasty Steve, Vicious, both return to let you guys know, fill you in on what's happening. We've had some really dope matches today, right? However, that is only the tip of the iceberg for the season, especially considering we got a completely reworked brand new team, 2 new teams, as well as international players. So just to go over a little bit how that process kind of happened. Now, how the captains were picked for these teams was global CPT points. That means, of course, obviously, iDom would have to go last because he is the current Capcom champion. Now, you also have the fact that, you know, Problem X is an Evo champion. Another CPT champion is NuckleDu, and that's all going to fall by the wayside. So with the first pick going to Nasser, they get Samurai as part of their team for SFL, which is genius.
Absolutely.
But the captain is Bigbird, and then you have Angrybird as well. I mean, what kind of team is this going to be coming in the Street Fighter League?
It's going to be a heavy stacked one, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Bigbird and Angrybird have been absolutely consistent in their lifespan of Street Fighter V. Then you have a Street Fighter League veteran. Again, the outlier on the graph, the statistical anomaly, glitch in the matrix, the bald spot you didn't see until your mid-20s. Honestly, this guy is absolutely ridiculous, and it's such a great pickup for Nasser that I wouldn't doubt seeing them in the top 3 grand finals even. These guys are definitely one of the heavy hitters.
Well, as obvious Middle Eastern representation, Bigbird and both Angrybird have both played on giant stages, EGX, Evo. They're very established players. So those guys having the first pick is still scary, but it's part of the process. UIU was the second. Who did they pick, Vicious?
Well, they have Oil King guiding them, and with their picks, they have the other players representing UIU. They have NL as well as Cammy. Again, both of these players, very strong choices, not only just for Street Fighter League, but for Street Fighter in general.
Yeah.
We've seen NL have his breakout performance with the likes of Cammy back in 2017, 2018, and even stronger in 2019 when he converted over to Akuma full time, as well as Cammy just grinding it out with some of the best players in the United States, time in again and again, and throughout the entirety of the CPT, as well as streaming from time to time. I definitely catch your streams, Cammy. Don't think I'm slipping.
That's true.
But this guy is 100% committed to the craft.
So UIU, just to recap, they got Oil King, NL, and Cammy, and I feel like they could have picked from a multitude of players. I feel like because UIU just has a very strong Street Fighter team. I mean, they have strong teams across the board, but their Street Fighter team is definitely some of the strongest in the world. Following them up, for the third pick, we have Team All In, and that is composed of Captain iDom, who had the last pick, and he came up with Phenom and 801 Strider. The team composition here, I feel like, is what's the most powerful thing. And I feel like you have, first off, iDom, the current Capcom Cup champion, who's playing 2 underutilized characters, if you ask me. He has a crazy Poison, and he also has a Laura. Both of these characters criminally underrepresented. On top of that, you have a champion player who's controlling them. But then iDom goes off and picks not only 801 Strider, but Phenom, another what I would consider a cannon in the world of Street Fighter because he has so many characters. And then just to round him out, just to be safe, you have 801 Strider, who is arguably one of, if not the best Gs on the planet. So like, what now? Like, how is this team going to... It's definitely going to be the wrench in everything. Like, that's how I personally feel.
Oh, yeah. And they call themselves All In for a very good reason. All of the characters that they have, Laura, Nakali, and G, what do these 3 have in common, Steve? They have a command grab. They're going all in. They're committing to that offensive pressure. They're committing to the dunks, and they're going to make sure you feel it. They have such similar mindsets with the characters that they play that I think it's going to work very well in that synergy to figure out how they got to face off against the other teams.
And one of the rivals and the leader who we was just talking about of Alpha 3 will be Punk, followed up by CJ Truth as one of his picks and Nephew as the other pick. What is your thought process? If you're Punk, you're looking at CJ Truth, what are your thoughts? Because we know how smart of a player he is, and we know how small it is of him to be like, well, I have Cammy on my side. He doesn't have that many characters. His character pick, I feel like, is small. So I feel like, what do you do after that?
So I'm looking at it this way. I'm really expecting Punk to really take the mantle of captain, not only in his performance, but how he kind of coaches his team and really guides them along the way. Because if you have guys like CJ Truth and Nephew, they're really great at understanding the matchups and also digesting whatever information you throw at them. So I think it's very imperative that Punk really kind of help them and kind of guide them along the way in each and every one of these matchups, because they're great on their own as Street Fighter players. But if you kind of have someone like Punk to kind of see these kind of little notions of weaknesses against other players, I think that's what's going to excel them. I need to see him more as a captain than a player, because we already know how strong he is, but he still has the likes of CJ Truth and Nephew, who are still kind of finding their wings in the Street Fighter League, right?
Yeah.
They've had great performances in the past, don't get me wrong. They're absolutely heavy hitters in the CPT, but I want to see what happens when they're thrown in the situation where they can't use their main character. Because CJ Truth using Cammy primarily, Nephew using Kolin primarily. What's going to happen when those guys get decided
That's
on
why
as
that's
a
why I
target of
said
ban?
that's exactly why I pointed it out. Punk might be taking this a whole lot more seriously than he did last time, considering he has a new team to kind of mesh, meld, and work with, and they're really, really strong this time around. But that's not the last team. Psycho Shinobi, another team that you need to be worried about, and every other team is worried about because it represents some of the finest in international competition. Hot Dog 29, the secret hot dog, the one you need the bun for, is the captain of Psycho Shinobi, and he goes and does the craziest thing ever and picks Infexious. This dude is a machine of Street Fighter V. He's like the Nate Dogg of Street Fighter V, bro. He never changes his face, the vocal inflection never changes, and the gameplay is always top tier. Why would you not have Infexious on the squad? Then you have Xian. So not only do you have Xian as a Capcom Cup champion, or Evo champion, excuse me, but you have Infexious, who has been on that big Evo stage. He knows how to play. We saw him at Red Bull Kumite doing amazing things, and now you have Hot Dog 29, another Red Bull Kumite player who has an immaculate team. Thought?
I think this synergy is one of the most dangerous ones. You're taking a look at the characters. Hot Dog has Bison, or Dictator, right? Infectious has Zeku. Xian has Ibuki still. Again, being nerfed in Season 5 with the likes of Ibuki still showing up and getting these top 8 placements, even in Capcom Pro Tour Online. It speaks a ton of words, and it's going to be great with Hot Dog leading the pack. I kind of want to see them and how they do with their secondaries as well. I'm really concerned about that. But overall, I think this team is strong. I just am kind of concerned for them as to who they're going to pick if they're the target of bans.
So once again, you're right. Hot Dog, Infectious, I have questions. Xian is the other Seth player that I know firsthand, and his Seth is stupid. Anyway, Dynamite is the last team to grace us here at Street Fighter League Season 3, and it is nowhere near the weakest. Having a Evo champion as the leader and an international representative. Problem X is the leader of Dynamite, and boom is the name of the game, because you have NuckleDu, Daddy Doo-Dang himself, right behind him to bring up, anything that might slip through the cracks. And then of course you have Smug. First you pick NuckleDu, then you pick Smug. Personally, I feel like that's one of the best 2 players you can have on the coast, and I think they fill out 2 major things, right? Like with these 2, with players like Smug and NuckleDu, they can fill out those gaps. If I send in Smug is either gonna blow you up, and he's gonna give me the information I need to blow you up. And then you have NuckleDu, who is in all intents and purposes one of the minds of Street Fighter. Like, you have to outthink this man if you want to beat him. And that's if you can do that, because he has multiple characters. Same thing goes for Smug. He has a G, and he still has the Balrog. NuckleDu has a Gao, has a Mika, has a Cammy, has a G. He has multiple characters. And then Problem X, who will literally just start a stream and be like, I'm gonna play Alex today. And literally can do anything. And he is once again an Evo champion. You guys are in for a treat from Team Dynamite. And personally, I honestly cannot wait. These exhibition matches that we have coming up have done nothing but, I feel like, set the precedent of saying like, well, look, You guys might not be able to see all of these players interact at once, but you will get to see the clashing of styles with a purpose of being the sole winner of Street Fighter League Season 3 and getting the opportunity and the pleasure plus the honor and the historic value of taking on Team Japan, which we saw come to a head at Capcom Cup last year. Personally, I'm so invested in what's happening because the teams have done everything to propel what Street Fighter V has become, and I'm really excited.
No, without a doubt. I mean, there's nothing more that really can be said except you guys have to check each and every one of these matches because they are of CPT caliber, even Capcom Cup caliber, if I do say so myself. The future of Street Fighter is here with Street Fighter League, and again, you guys do not want to miss it because each and every one of these teams are stacked, and it just brings so much to the table of theory crafting and really just upping your game in general because you're fighting, or you're watching some of the best in the world fight nearly how many matches? Double round robin?
Yep.
It's going to be week in, week out of Street Fighter. You guys cannot miss it.
And that's not even including the fact that you guys are getting the best of 7 right here for the preseason. So, of course, just to recap what we went over today, we had Alex Myers go up against Commander Jesse. Alex Myers takes the set. And then we had Samurai versus Nephew, another amazing set with a surprising result, if you ask me, because a lot of people was probably looking at Nephew to take it, but Samurai was the winner of that. And that says a lot about the mindsets going further into Street Fighter League. The player pool is so large that it's going to be match after match, non-stop action after action. As Vicious says every season, it can only get better. And this is only the preseason. It's only the preseason that you guys are getting this. But just to recap what we're going to have next week. Next week, we're going to have UIU's NL versus UIU's John Dering going up against UIU's Oil King versus Hot Dog. That's going to be our next 2 matches for next week. I'm sure I will see you guys there. And until then, play some good Street Fighter. Peace.